I would like to thank Sergeant Bergen for everything that he's doing for us, because without him, we would not be able to broadcast live. And I would also like to welcome the Jewish communities throughout Japan and hopefully the 7th Fleet that are watching our services live from Okinawa. We will begin on page 10 of our prayer books with a candle lighting blessing.
Creation, bright and white, the mystic day, and the dawn of time. But on this sacred night, this night of hope and joy, the glimmer of that light is here. And candles flame, and children cry, and eyes aglow with wisdom bright. It shines in the faces of the light of love, and grateful hearts and tears of love. That lives in memory of goodness, and in our own desire to be right. Try again to build anew, ask for forgiveness. We enter this year and here, and look upon the beauty of His light. So may the day of awe be the light of peace. All the stars are hidden, and the moon is dark tonight, and the white expanse of heaven, north to south, not a ray of light. Light and bright candles, and my heart's shadows dim, and though the wind expands of heaven, the light will shine. Where there is sadness, let us offer love. Where there is fear, let us reach for hope. On the eve of the new year, may you bring light to us.
Source of blessing, eternal our God, you fill the universe with majestic might, teaching us holiness through sacred obligations, giving us the mitzvah of bringing light on this festival. Turn to page 17.
אשר שלחוני, אבל פי שאני כדאי להקום לך, על כן אבקש ממך, אלוהי אברהם, אלוהי יצחק, אלוהי יעקב, אלוהי שרה, אלוהי רבקה, אלוהי רחל, אלוהי לאה. Adonai, Adonai, El Rahum V'Chanun, Elohei Israel, Shaddai Hayom V'Norah, Mashiach Elohim. שאני חולי, ועוד לבקש לחיים עליי, ואל שולחי. שתן לך תצא, not taken out of time, but take a share on me, and all can you be shy. I am Rosh and me, that I Rosh and me, ששון ולשמחה לחיים ולשלום. האמת והשלום אהבו לא ירגישו מקשור בתפילתי. לששון ולשמחה לחיים ולשלום. האמת והשלום אהבו לא ירגישו מקשור בתפילתי. נתון שומע תפילות עמך ישראל ברחמים. כי אתה שומע תפילות עמך ישראל ברחמים. ברוך אתה שומע תפילות.
We are on page 19. אלוהינו ואלוהי אבותינו ואמותינו, יהי רצון שנזכה לברכותיך בשנת 5779. אלוהי עולם, ברך אותנו ואת כל בית ישראל בקידוש ימינו, לשמחה ובשלום, בנחמה ובאומץ לב, בחילוץ עצמות ברוח איתנו. יהי פרי שפתנו מקובל ורצוי מלפניך. בפרוס השנה החדשה, לאז מודים אנחנו לך על מתנת החיים. Our God and God of our ancestors, may we know your blessings in the year 5779. 779. Eternal One, bless us and the whole house of Israel with renewed life, happiness and peace, comfort and courage, resilience and strength. May the words of our heart be acceptable to you in the new year that stretches before us. We are forever grateful for the gift of life. Please rise for Baruch Hu on page 20. Please listen. We are on page 22. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bidvaro ma'ariv aravim בחוכמה פותח שערים בתבונה משנה עתים מחליף את הזמנים ומסדר את הכוכבים במשמרותיכם מרקיע כרצונו בורא יום ולילה כולל אור מפני חושך וחושך מפני אור מעביר יום ומביא לילה ומבדיל בין יום ובין לילה אדוני צבאות שמו אל חי וקיים תמיד ימלוך עלינו לעולם ועד ברוך אתה אדוני כמעריב ערבים. Blessed are you, Adonai. Your great name fills the universe with majestic might. Your word creates twilight and dusk, as your wisdom opens the gates of night. Your discernment separates the changing seasons and causes the passage of time. Stars, arrayed across the sky, reveal your design. You roll out the cycle of darkness and light, shaping day and night. Sweep away day and carry the world into nightfall, setting day apart from nighttime. You are God of all we can perceive and all that is beyond our perception. Living eternal God, be our sovereign to the end of time. Blessed are you, Adonai, creator of twilight and dusk. Now we turn to page 24. Reading together. Love beyond all space and time. Love unfolds your people Israel. Receive it in your teaching. Your gift of sacred obligations, discipline, and love. So let us speak these teachings when we lie down and rise up, and find joy forever in your Torah and mitzvot. They are the very essence of our life, ours to ponder and study all our days. May we never lose or be unworthy of your love. Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael. Turn to page 26 for the Shema. ואהבת את אדוני אלוקיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבבך ושיננת לבך וניבאת בה ושילך בביתך ולכתך בדרך לא בך ובך ושרתם מאוד על ידך והיו לטפות בין עיניך וטפתם על מזוזות ביתך ובישעריך למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם. On page 28. You shall love Adonai your God with all your mind, with all your soul, and with all your strength. Set these words, which I command you this day, upon your heart. Teach them faithfully to your children. Speak of them in your home and on your way, when you lie down and when you rise up. Bind them as a sign upon your hand. Let them be a symbol before your eyes. Inscribe them on the doorposts of your house and on your gates. Be mindful of all my mitzvot and do them. Thus you will become holy to your God. I, Adonai, am your God, who brought you out of Egypt to be your God. I, Adonai, your God. We continue on page 32, reading together. Truth and faith, these are fundamental to our existence. God alone is their source, and we are Israel, people of God. Our sovereign saves us from tyranny, redeems us from its violence through countless wonders, from its brutality to great feats beyond measure. We are Israel, a people of God, the giver of life, who will not let our feet give away, the maker of miracles for us against Pharaoh, signs and portents in the land of Egypt, the one who brought our people Israel from its midst to enduring freedom. On page 34. Witnesses to this heroic might, the people thanked and praised God by name, freely accepting the reign of heaven. And Moses and Miriam and all Israel sang to you this song of utter joy. We continue together on page 36. Bless our sleep with peace, Adonai, and awaken us to life when we rise. Power sublime, spread over us your shelter of shalom. Through your wisdom, restore us, make us whole. Let your name proclaim your presence in our lives. Be our shield. Make us stronger than the enemies we face. Illness and war, famine and sorrow. And stronger than the enemies in our hearts, wickedness and sin. Carry us to safety as on wings. For you are the monarch of grace, the sovereign of compassion. You are the one who cares for us and sets us free. Watch over us. We who go forth to life, watch over us. We may come home in peace, now until the end of time. Baruch atah Adonai, הפורש סוכת שלום עלינו ועל כל עמו ישראל ועל ירושלים. Turn to page 40 for the Hatzikadosh.
Amen. Yehishme Rabban Vara, Leolam, Ulam Me'amayo Yitzhara.
For
Adonai, Sefataki Kofunia, Adonai, open my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Avotinu v'Imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rochel, Elohei Leah, Orel HaGadol HaMikat HaNorah, Elohim. Orel Chasadim Tovim, V'Konei Ha'ol, V'Zacher Nastei Avot V'Imahot, V'Gilul Ha'Livni V'Nehem, L'Ma'an Shemo Ba'avot.
we are page 49. We turn to page 52. You chose us with love to be messengers of mitzvot, and through us you made known your aspirations. Among all the many peoples, you gave us a pathway to holiness. Among all the great nations, you have lifted us and made yourself our sovereign. So we seek you and serve you, and celebrate our nearness to your presence. Your great and sacred name has become our calling. Your love, eternal, our God, you have given us this day of remembrance, a day for the shofar's joyful sound, a day of sacred assembly, a day to be mindful of our people's going out from Egypt. Our God and God of the generations before us, may a memory of us ascend and come before you. May it be heard and seen by you, winning your favor and reaching your awareness. Together with the memory of our ancestors, the memory of your sacred city, Jerusalem, and the memory of your people, the family of Israel. May we be remembered for safety, well-being, and favor, for love and compassion, for life and for peace on this day of remembrance. Eternal our God, remember us. Be mindful of us and redeem us for a life of goodness and blessing. Zochreinu Adonai Eloheinu bo letova, ufakdenu bo livracha, Ve'oshe'enu bo lechaim. Favor us with words of deliverance and mercy. Show us the depth of your care. God, we wait for your redemption. For you reign with grace and compassion. God who is ours, and God of our fathers and mothers. Your glory reign over the infinite expanse of space and time. Your grandeur be exalted. Through your power, show us your reality. And all who dwell on earth shall understand that you are their maker. Astound us with the beauty of your presence, so that every breath of life shall say, Eternal is the God of Israel, all-embracing God's rule and sovereignty. We are on page 60. Please. Eternal our God, your people Israel yearns for your favor. Receive their prayer with loving acceptance, and may you always desire your people's worship. Divine One, close to all who call upon you, bring your grace and presence near to those who serve you. Pour forth your Spirit on us, and may our eyes see your merciful return to Zion. Baruch atah Adonai, Amachazir Shekinato Lezion. God who is ours, God of all generations, to you we are grateful forever. Rock and protector of our lives, your saving power endures from age to age. We thank you and tell the tale of your praise, your power in our lives, your caring for our souls, the constant miracle of your kindness. Morning, noon, and night, we call you goodness. Your compassion never ends. We call you mercy, for your love has no limits. We call you hope, now and for all time. And for all these gifts, God of majesty, may your name come to be blessed and praised. Our gratitude a daily offering till the end of time. Inscribe your covenant partners for a life of goodness. And may all life resound with gratitude and faith in praise of your name. God, you free us and strengthen us. Baruch atah Adonai, atov shivcha ulechana eleodot.
Shalom Rava Yisrael Tasim Leonah. Shalom Rava Yisrael Tasim Leonah. Yatahu Nahaton Lechol HaShalom. Yatahu Nahaton Lechol HaShalom. Shalom Rava Yisrael Tasim Leonah. Shalom Rav Yisrael Tatzim Leolam V'tov be'enecha levarech et amcha Yisrael B'chalit u'b'chol sha'or Yishtanecha. Shalom Rava Yisrael Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rava Yisrael Tasim Leolam. B'sefer Chayim b'racha v'shalom u'fanasat olam. Yizacher v'nichati lefanecha. Anachu v'chol amcha b'it Yisrael. L'chaim tovim u'shalom. Baruch atah Adonai oseh hashalom.
Let us and the whole family of Israel be remembered and inscribed in the book of life. May it be a life of goodness, blessing, and prosperity. May it be a life of peace. Now we take a moment for silent prayer and meditation, after which we will join on page 7.
Shalom, Yaseh shalom aleichem, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imru amen. Yaseh shalom, shalom aleichem, ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, shalom aleichem, Yahweh Israel. Yaseh shalom, shalom aleichem, Yahweh Israel. Yaseh shalom, shalom aleichem, Yahweh Israel. Yaseh shalom, shalom aleichem, ve'al kol Yisrael.
Continue on page 74.
Avinu now Kenu, Almighty and merciful. Avinu now Kenu, strong was the faith of generations before us. In exile, they proclaim enduring hope. In the shadow of persecution, they affirm a transcendent love and compassion. Ours is a different age, less confident, certain, more tentative in its trust. There are many who say to the works of their hands, "You are our gods." But when our worship centers on our own creations, we feel less gratitude, more doubt and despair. This is the paradox of our spiritual lives. We grow smaller in self-exaltation, nobler when we reach for you. On this night of return, let us find the humility to come close to you and open ourselves to your presence. For you are absent only when we fail to make room for you in our hearts, distant only when we turn away from you. Now, as others have done before us, let us overcome doubts and speak these words of affirmation. We call you Avinu, as loving parent, forgive our wrongs and failings. Accept us in our human frailty. We call you Mel Kenu, as sovereign of our souls. Help us rise from our brokenness to build a world of shalom. To this vision, we offer ourselves anew.
And we continue on page 77. Avinu Malkeinu, Almighty and merciful, you alone are sovereign. Avinu Malkeinu, for your sake, show us mercy. Avinu Malkeinu, act toward us as befits your name. Avinu Malkeinu, bring healing and wholeness to the ill among us. Avinu Malkeinu, allay the harshness of the decree against us. Avinu Malkeinu, inscribe us in the book of redemption and renewal. Avinu Malkeinu, remember our goodness and call it to mind. Avinu Malkeinu, act for your sake and save us. Avinu Malkeinu, Almighty and merciful, hear our voice. Avinu Malkeinu, we have strayed and sinned before you. Avinu Malkeinu, have compassion on us and our families. Avinu Malkeinu, hold the onslaught of sickness, violence, and hunger. Avinu Malkeinu, hold the reign of those who cause pain and terror. Avinu Malkeinu, enter our names in the book of lives well lived. Avinu Malkeinu, renew for us a year of goodness.
Avinu Malkeinu, Avinu Malkeinu, Avinu Malkeinu, Avinu Malkeinu, Imanu Masi, Asimanu, Tzedaka V'Chesed, Asimanu, Tzedaka V'Chesed, Ve'Hoshiyenu, Avinu Malkeinu, Avinu Malkeinu, Avinu Malkeinu, Avinu Malkeinu,
Last summer, while I was in South Carolina for chaplain school, I forgot to bring with me one of the things that I almost always have in my backpack: books and magazines. I had them in my iPad, but holding an actual paper book is so much more conducive to reading for me. While settling down in my room, I discovered that in one of the drawers there was one book. It was a copy of Dostoevsky's The Brothers Karamazov. I found it frustrating. I remember clearly not having enjoyed this book at all when I had to read it for a school project in high school. As I grew desperate, also due to the fact that for the first 10 days there was no TV reception in my room. I'm telling you, it was like a conspiracy. I decided to give it another chance and started reading the book. I was convinced that I would hate it again, perhaps even more than the first time. While reading the book, a single dialogue stood out. I must admit one thing to you. I could never understand how one can love one's neighbor. One can love one's neighbor in the abstract, but at close quarters, it's almost impossible. Those were the words of Ivan, one of the main characters, as he responded to the commandment from Leviticus to love our neighbor. To make his point, Ivan said he felt a sense of love and obligation toward the poor, but he could not bring himself to love the specific beggars that he met. How, he asks, can he love a filthy, impolite human being from a world completely other than his own? Ivan's brother Alyosha replied, "The face of a man often hinders many people not practiced in love from loving him." Not practiced in love. That is a provocative line. Are any of us practiced in love? I would say we actually are. We love our families. We had a lot of practice with them. Similarly, we love our friends, our colleagues, fellow community members. I hope so. Where we usually get stuck is when it comes to complete strangers. It seems feasible to love strangers in the abstract, but not so much in reality. And there is the crux of the matter. Our neighbors must become more than strangers if we are to love them. It's not merely that the stranger can appear strange. When Alyosha in the book says that the face of a man often hinders many people, he's speaking of more than someone's literal face. Often we're hindered by the face of another human being who doesn't share the same rank, workspace, religion, race, income, philosophy, or politics. These are the neighbors with whom we have little opportunity to interact meaningfully. And yet, it's only through building relationships that we can engender a sense of love and empathy for them. They must not remain strangers if we are to love them. We all know people, and perhaps these are none than ourselves, that seek to keep these neighbors as strangers. But even the most convinced of these people can change, even when these neighbors happen to become more than abstractions. When people open up, they can ultimately see the face of their neighbor and become moved to acts of empathy. But for some, it can never happen if they're not forced to meet face to face the people that are perceived to be too different, and to then see their humanity. In the past, This was an easier task to accomplish as our societal structure provided such opportunities for interaction and acquaintance. However, today, we may not be able or willing to find these opportunities for initiating new relationships in the same way. Robert Putnam, the eminent social scientist and Harvard professor, suggested that our ability to surround ourselves with like-minded, like-looking, like-thinking people has increased in the last 5 decades. And this has led to the breakdown of relationships between people from different walks of life. In short, Putnam writes that we find it difficult to love our neighbor because we have little to do with them. If we move through our lives without really understanding or seeing theirs, he writes, we are less empathetic than we should be. Less empathetic than we should be. That's another challenging sentence. Do we really view ourselves as lacking empathy? If we're serious about self-examination during these 10 days, do we do an honest inventory of our capacity for compassion? I think that in general we care deeply about the suffering that we see. But if it is in the newspaper or in some distant location, we're often paralyzed either by the distance or the enormity. We ask ourselves, what can I do to help the innocent mother or toddler war refugee across the ocean? The teenagers in our inner cities that are being used by gangs like pawns in a chess game, or the sweatshop workers even in our own country, struggling with inhumane working conditions. Or to make this even more personal for some of us, how many times do we fail to act when we hear about the suffering, depression, loneliness, or even suicidal ideation of fellow service members who just happen to be in a different section, workshop, company, or battalion? Even with our compassionate hearts, even with our desire to do good, even with our hope to help our neighbor, we're often uncertain of how to take action. And yet, what if these strangers were known to us? If we knew them, would we do more on their behalf? What if they were not simply others, but colleagues, fellow sailors and Marines, that we greeted every time we saw them and asked about their welfare, showing interest, or even a neighbor that lives further down the street struggling to raise her 3 kids whom we see every day? If we knew them not as cases, but as people, would that channel our concern into some deed, big or small, which might improve a life? Would that drive us to find a way to show up? I have a feeling that it would. So the question becomes, how do we put faces on our neighbors? How do we move past our mutual estrangement? Based on what we know from Putnam's work, our society is out of practice at showing up in person. We are accustomed to online activism, where entire movements get organized on Twitter, with faceless donate buttons, with crowdfunding campaigns devoid of personal contact. We are more likely to share an article on social media than share an evening in dialogue, or reaching out to someone who might seem lonely, homesick, or sad. We have become hashtag activists. It's not for lack of care. I want to believe that we all care deeply. But these kind of actions demand less and risk less. Why go anywhere? Why expose ourselves to other people's problems? We can sit with our laptops and participate as much or as little as we wish. Our activism and concern can be as inactive as ordering takeout from MCCS here on base. Our generation has seen that we can love our neighbor without breaking a sweat. We can join a movement without even moving. But Judaism teaches that we have to move. We have to show up. We have to go. Empathy in our tradition is actually commanded. Many of you know the word hesed. It's the Hebrew term to describe acts of loving kindness, empathy in person. Britain's former chief rabbi, Sir Lord Jonathan Sachs, translated hesed as face-to-face deeds of compassion. He wrote that acts of hesed appear at critical moments in the Torah to teach us that societies are only human and humanizing when they are built on face-to-face encounters. The Torah repeatedly emphasizes that we cannot see God face-to-face. It follows that we can only see God in the face of another human being. The great Jewish philosophers, Abraham Joshua Hessel, Martin Buber, and Emmanuel Levinas, all preach the same simple truth. The moment our eyes meet another person's eyes, we become responsible for them. The face of a fellow human being demands that we respond. Over time, if we establish personal relationships with those around us, empathy will become a habit. If we try to establish relationships with our neighbors, we can create a culture in which we and they will see each other's struggles as our own. These ties cannot be forged in times of crisis. We should not wait until something bad happens in order to do this. Rather, these bridges need to be carefully built before the storm. We are very lucky to have members of a truly high intellectual caliber in our community. We have educators who have been enriching their students' lives, not just through the knowledge they share, but also through being role models for them. We have service members who have devoted their lives to the protection of the entire nation and everything it stands for. We have dependents in our community, even though they're stretched thin by jobs and family obligations, they still eagerly show up every time that the community calls them. There are retirees looking to this community to take a larger role in repairing our world, and they are willing to help. We should begin to ask, what could this look like at our small military community? We're going to have to answer that together. One starting place might come from the Reform movement. They're exploring how we as a Jewish community can collectively seek out the faces of our neighbors and work together to repair the brokenness that we see around us. Permanent residents who are familiar with the wider local community and its needs and challenges are also an invaluable resource of what to do in order to translate the Jewish vision of Tikkun Olam, repairing the wider world, and not just our own turf, into action. Martin Buber wrote that each one of us walks through life encased in an armor. This armor protects us from the signs that we're being addressed by the strangers around us. It ensures we do not see their eyes, pleading for us to relate or respond to them. He wrote that the armor whispers reassuringly, it's just the word. Nothing is required of you. It is a necessary armor, he says. The world is too full of faces to walk about and protect. And yet, we're standing at a moment in the year that summons us to strip off this armor and lay ourselves bare. Standing here, vulnerable and exposed to the summons, we ask ourselves, whose eyes could we meet? If we seek out the faces of a community of strangers, what might we find? Will there be moments of heartbreak? Will there be moments of tension? Yes. There will also be eyes brimming with hope. There will be lives touched by friendship. There will be hearts marked by love. May we cast off some of our armor this coming year and allow faces to penetrate our hearts and stir our souls. May this new year be the year on which we will make a decisive step toward realizing our personal and societal potential through dedication to the dictates of our religion that commands us to love and care for all our neighbors. Shana Tova. We turn to page 82 for Elaine. Please rise. Please be seated. We are on page 89. Our thoughts turn to loved ones death has taken from us in recent days. Those who died at this season in years past. Our hearts open as well to the wider circles of loss in our community, wherever grief touches the human family. Today, our community remembers
David Payne, Morris Tate, Jack Chase, Tom Chase, Bill Hopper.
John Booth.
Okay, Xavier Toro.
Please rise for the mourner's Kaddish on page 9. Kadal Beit Kadash Merama Melmati Brakirte Yamlik Makute Hayakon Yomekon Hayat Kol Beit Israel Bagalaw Bisman Karib Beit Bru Yehesh Meraba Meborach Leolam Ulumei Maya Ibarak Beit Shabach Beit War Beit Roma Beit Naseh Beit Adar Beit Ale Beit Alal Shmei Lekusha Rehu לעילה ולעילה מכל ברכתה ושירתה, ושבחתה ונקמתה, דמירן בעלמה ואמרו, ויש לה מרה במשמיא, וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל, ואמרו, עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל, ואמרו, Amen. May the source of peace bestow peace on all who mourn. May we be a source of comfort to all who are bereaved. May their memories be for a blessing. Zikronam Libraha. We will conclude our services on page 94, singing together Adon Olam.
Adon Olam, Hashem Allah, B'Terem Kol Yitzir Nivra, Ninit Na'asa V'Chefsokol, Azay Melech Shelo Nivra. Ve'acharei Kitlot HaKol, Levato Yitlot Nara, Ve'hu Haya Ve'hu Hoda, Ve'hu Yiyeh B'Tifara, Ve'hu Yiyeh B'Tifara. Adon Olam, Hashem Allah, B'Terem Kol Yitzir Nivra, Ninit Na'asa V'Chefsokol, Azay Melech Shelo Nivra. Ve'hu echad ve'em sheni, lehamshilo ve'achbira, b'li reshit, b'li tachlit, ve'lo ha'oz, ve'lo ha'oz, ve'lo ha'oz ve'ha'am Yisrael. Adon Olam, Hashem Allah, B'Terem Kol Yitzir Nivra, Ninit Na'asa V'Chefsokol, Azay Melech Shelo Nivra. Ve'hu Eli v'chai go'ali, Kitzur chemli ve'et tzara, Ve'hu nisi u'manosli, Menat kosi, Menat kosi, Menat kosi b'yom ekra. Adon Olam, Hashem Allah, B'Terem Kol Yitzir Nivra, Ninit Na'asa V'Chefsokol, Azay Melech Shelo Nivra. B'yado hafkid ruchi, B'tishan v'ha'ira, V'imruchi k'fi adi, Adonai li, Adonai li, Adonai li v'lo ira. Adon Olam, Hashem Allah, B'Terem Kol Yitzir Nivra, Ninit Na'asa V'Chefsokol, Azay Melech Shelo Nivra.
We're on page 99. יהי רצון מלפניך אדוני אלוהינו ואבותינו, אלוקי אבותינו ואמותינו, שתחדש עלינו שנה טובה ומתוקה. We read together in English. Our God and God of our ancestors, eternal God of all generations, may your presence in our lives this new year renew our spirits and renew our strength. May it be a good year. May it be a sweet year. L'shana tova tikatevu v'tehatemu. May you be inscribed and sealed for a good year. Shana tova.
Shana Tova.